Okay, afternoon, everyone. Here we are in year three. I'm in year three. And Tom Fletcher's the Creakers. I've got a bit of an audience. There's a few of you listening. Say hello.
Hello, watching. Hello.
Hello, hello. Okay, so chapter 28, the whopping great drilling machine. Okay. Lucy closed the front door behind her, which rattled on its hinges under the intensive vibration. In fact, the entire house was rattling. Can you imagine 100 helicopters swirling around over your house with a whopping great drilling machine ready to blast in through your ceiling at any moment? Oh, no, thank you very much. Sounds absolutely awful, doesn't it? Lucy ran upstairs, leaping up 2 or 3 steps at a time. Faster, Lucy, faster, she commanded herself. She burst into her bedroom. Her bed lay like a bridge over the large wormhole leading down to the wall, her mattress still leaning against her bedroom wall. She quickly drew the curtains, shutting out the sunlight, and threw her mattress down onto the bed, casting everything underneath into the deep, dark shadows. The instant the darkness returned, Lucy saw the most incredible thing happen. The hole started swirling and shrinking, like the way water goes down the plug hole in your bath. The darkness was healing the damage she had done. Suddenly, the whole room started shaking. Lucy wobbled and stumbled to her knees. Her bedside table tipped over and her books flew off the shelves. Her Jelly Baby eating competition certificate fell off the wall and the frame shattered on the floor. Her sock drawer slid open, sending socks flying everywhere. It was mayhem. Then came the worst sound of all. It was the sound like she'd never heard before. And why would she? It was the sound of a roof being ripped right off her house. Giant, shiny, silvery teeth sliced into the Dugson's roof, drilling right into Lucy's bedroom. Lucy glanced at the door, but there wasn't time to make it run for it now. The drill was coming down. There was no escape. Below her was the shrinking entrance to the wall. Above her, the menacing metal teeth of the whopping great drill machine. Lucy was caught in the middle, right between grown-ups and creakers. And just like that, the whole ceiling suddenly came right off. There's Lucy.
Jelly Baby eating. Jelly Baby.
All the roof tiles, the bricks, her glow-in-the-dark stars, everything went swirling into a shimmering, spinning jaws of the mighty military drill. Lucy felt sunlight fall on her face, and for a moment she understood what it must feel like to be a creaker. That heart-stopping dread of your whole world about to be turned to dust. Although it wasn't the sunlight itself that would be turning Lucy into dust, it was the screeching drill, getting closer and closer every second. Lucy looked around. The sight before her was so mind-bogglingly weird. Her bedroom had 4 walls, no ceiling. There was just a great big hole overhead, filled only by the approaching creaker killing machine and the whirling of the helicopter blades. Smash! The drill suddenly dropped lower, eating up the walls of Lucy's room too. The window smashed. The curtains got sucked into the grinding teeth, and a tornado of bricks turned to rubble as they tumbled down into the garden below. Lucy was now standing in her room with no ceiling above her, no walls around her. It was just her and her bed, completely open to the outside world. Lucy Pops! A voice called out from over the screaming of the drilling machine, and Lucy caught a glimpse of her father and mother at the end of the street, waving at her desperately. It wasn't just them being held back by the military. Norman was there with his dad. Ella stood with her mama. The whole of Whiffington had gathered in a great crowd. Even the wakey Whiffington cameras were rolling, ready to capture the destruction of the wall. It was at that moment, standing beneath 100 helicopters of a giant drill, a few centimeters away from her head, being watched by the entire population of Whiffington town, that Lucy realised something. Something very weird. She wasn't scared. Of course, it was terrifying to have a whopping great drill rip off your roof and dangle a few centimetres from your head, about to be dropped at any moment right on the spot you're standing in. But somehow, Lucy had come to realise that what she was about to do was bigger than being scared, more important than feeling frightened. She was standing up for the whole. She was standing up for what she believed in, putting the lives of others before her own. Lucy had been prepared to risk everything to save the grown-ups from Creakers, and now she was risking it all to save the Creakers from the grown-ups. Stop! She shouted. But the machine kept drilling, getting lower and lower. Stop drilling! She called. Jum, 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 jum. The machine replied. Lucy realised that screaming was no good. She had to be seen. She stood on her bed, making herself as tall and big as possibly she could. She raised open her palms towards the drill, and this time she demanded that it obey her. That's enough! She ordered with a great and the whopping great drilling machine came to a sudden halt. Lucy stared up at the sharp metal face of the drill. His pointy tip was barely centimetres from her open hand. Raise the drill! And echoed an angry voice from the megaphone from one of the helicopters above. The chopper engines roared as they lifted the drill out of the Dugston family home. Well, what is it then, Sergeant? The voice echoed down from above again, and Lucy recognised it now. Mayor Annoying, Ella's dad. He was hanging out of the side of one of the great helicopters, peering down with a stern frown across his forehead. It's the girl, sir, nervous Sergeant replied. A girl? No, the girl. One who rescued us from the wall. It's me, Lucy. Lucy shouted back up at the WAF choppers through the megaphone she confiscated. Lucy Dugston, and this is my home! Well, for goodness sake, Lucy, get out the way! We've got to get rid of those disgusting vermin down there, the mayor demanded. But Lucy didn't get out the way. She sat down on her bed and folded her arms. I'm not going anywhere, she said. If you want to kill those poor little creatures, you'll have to chomp me up with your drill too. There was silence. Well, apart from the sound of the helicopters, obviously. Then a rope suddenly dropped down through Lucy's open ceiling. Lucy looked up to see the mayor whiz down from the rope from the chopper, his chunky golden chains and his pointy hat flapping in the breeze. There he is. Hang on. He is a bit fat. Where was I? Now listen here, little girl, he boomed into his megaphone seconds before he landed, his shiny boots clomping onto her bedroom floor. No, you listen, Lucy said into her own megaphone, standing up on her bed so that she was just as tall as the very cross mayor. I'm not moving from this spot. This is my room, my home, and you've got no right to come flying over here with your big chompy machine and slicing off my ceiling. But, the mayor spluttered. He'd never been spoken to like this by any child other than Ella before. But what was unusual about lumps in her... Ella before, but that was usually about lumps in her mashed avocado or staying up late. No buts, Lucy continued. This isn't just my home. This is their home too. She pointed down to the shadows beneath her bed. But those things snatched us away. They nearly turned us all into messy, silly children, the mayor spluttered. Yes, and that was wrong of them. But you are as much to blame as they are. What? You heard me, Lucy's voice blasted out loud and clear for everyone in Whiffington to hear. You, me, and every single person here in Whiffington. We're just like those creatures. They have homes, they have families, and they're sick and tired of watching us dump all our rubbish when we can turn it back into something useful. Our rubbish can give a creaker child a bed. He can build a family home. He can even power a whole city. If only we could work together instead of trying to snatch or destroy each other. We might look different and we might not see the world in the same way, but that doesn't mean we can't all live on it, under it together. Peacefully, happily. Lucy looked out from her crumbling bedroom to the crowd gathering at the end of her street. They were listening to every word she said, and she saw lots of them nodding. But this is madness. You can't listen to her. She's just a child, the mayor pleaded to Whippington. That's right. I am a child, just a kid. The kid who saw you running naked through Creakerland. The mayor looked out to see Ella and Miss Noyen standing in the crowd. Ella put her heart-shaped glasses on and acted like she didn't know him. The kid who brought you all back to your families, Lucy continued. The kid who knows that if we drill this hole, we'll destroy the Creakers forever. The mayor said nothing. He was dumbstruck by Lucy's words. Lucy was seeing the world far more clearly than any grown-up had ever had for a long time. The mayor bowed his head in shame. Lucy, I've been a fool, he sighed, removing his tricorn hat and placing it on Lucy's head. You have reminded us all that sometimes children can see the truth that grown-ups have forgotten how to see. He lifted the megaphone to his mouth. Call off the whopping great drill, he ordered with a wave of his hand. The helicopters instantly flew the machine away. We've been complete wallies, haven't we? The mayor said to Lucy. No, you've just been grown-ups. I don't suppose you have any idea what we should do next, asked the mayor sheepishly. He'd never had to ask anyone what he should do before, especially not a kid. Lucy looked round at the mess she was standing in. There was no walls, no ceiling, no wardrobes, just Lucy and the mayor and the bed. Lucy smiled. What is it? The mayor asked. I think I have an idea. Chapter 29, and we'll stop there. Have the next one. Nearly done. I think we've got about 2 chapters there. See you tomorrow.
What's that shape?
Everyone say goodbye.